So this is a really interesting panel. We are talking about one of the core use cases of blockchain, which is actually tracking provenance. And who better to kind of talk about those two things than Zaf Chow from Artifact Labs and Lee Sin Ko from the National Gallery Singapore. I'd just like to start off maybe with a very simple introduction. So my name's Rishi. I'm from Enjinstarter. I'm the head of innovation. Great to be here. Thank you for making it to, all the way to almost the end of level one on Monday. And pretty soon, there'll be drinks. So just hang on, give us another 20, 25 minutes of your time. And hopefully we'll be able to fill you with insights. Zaf, maybe over to you to just do a quick intro.
Thank you very much. So, Saf Chow, I am the Chief Commercial Officer of Artifacts Labs. We help museums to put their invaluable cultural and heritage assets onto the blockchain. One, for preservation. Second, more interestingly, we do IP rights licensing with them. So this is something that we do. And last year, I was still with Animoca Brands and leading strategic partnership there. I think it's fair to say that last year was all about NFT and metaverse. And this year, I think people start to look into real life application and use cases. And that's why I think what we're going to talk about matters a lot.
Yeah, brilliant. Leeson?
Hi, I'm Lee Sing. I'm from National Gallery Singapore. I hope all of you here have a chance to go to the museum. So I take care of the partnership development team and working alongside with Zev to do a few new projects, hopefully. And we've already ventured into the Web 3.0 space in 2020. I was reminded by Zev earlier this afternoon while we have coffee. It's really right before the 69 million people artwork that was sold in Christie's. So I'm technically 3 months ahead of time. So would really love to share that journey with you and how we get through all the hoops that we have to jump and continue to do good work in the Web 3.0 space. Thank you.
Brilliant. We were having coffee and we were talking about art and blockchain, and very quickly it became apparent that it is a very complex world. Art simply isn't taking a picture and just slapping it on an NFT and calling it art. It's actually a lot more complex. But we'll start with a few lowball kind of questions. Leeson, maybe directed to you first. How has art galleries, museums in the past kind of dealt with the whole provenance, authenticity issue?
I think in the past we were quite traditional in the way we do things. So you really have to perhaps have an inquiry, send an email to us, and our content management team would have to check whether what reasons you're using these images for. So if it's for educational purposes, then it's considered free use, and we're very happy to share that information. But if it's for commercial purposes, we are a bit more careful in what you're using it for, because then you're profiting from the IP of the artist. And I think one thing I wanted to highlight that's quite prevalent to Southeast Asia, it's that a lot of our artists have not passed on for a long time, or they are living artists. So there's copyrights to be taken care of. And we also have to be respectful in terms of the artist estate. So these are some of the more traditional ways that we are doing things now. And we are hoping to, to make it more simple, not just for the person who applies to use these works. And we want these artworks to be able to be shown not just within the museum academia circle, but really for members of the public who wants to learn more information, they can also access.
Yeah. Brilliant. And Zaf, I mean, you've come from a very different world from, Animoca and then diving into the art world. You obviously saw, some massive gaps that you were kind of looking to solve. And how's the journey been moving to Artifact Labs? Maybe you could shed some light on that and, how the journey has been with the art world.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So I think in this artwork, artwork, a lot of people are trying to look into NFT sale, and there are a lot of like generative art and all that. So I think the art world, they understand the concept of NFT, and they have seen some of those really expensive, like the $69 million sale of people's work, for example. And a lot of them don't know how to go into this space and don't know what's the actual usage of that. And what we're doing at Artifacts Lab, on one side, we're trying to create something like digital art, try to put every like important heritage, anything important assets on art and culture onto the blockchain with the metadata standard that we develop with Global Council, including experts from museums, from blockchain foundations, and all that. And the metadata standard is going to capture all the invaluable information about an artwork. For example, in PFP space, all you had see is like a big JPEG and then maybe some traits and some name of the NFT. But in the art world, we will have to look into who owned it before, where it exhibited before. All of those information affect the value of the art, and also which medium is it paint on? Is it on canvas? Is it oil painting? Like all these kind of information are important. So the metadata standard is actually capturing all these data. So for preservation, I think this is easier for people to understand. And I think we tap into the potential of IP licensing because we see the actual challenge for museums to tackle all these requests day to day, like having limited resources to look into this matter, to evaluate whether this commercial use is valid or not, to grant this right or not. So I think blockchain can just come in as a easy solution to solve this and to increase the efficiency of taking care of this matter. And also open more doors for opportunities and potential, because once you can take care of these kind of microtransaction, there are more demand coming in and more people can be like accessible to the art itself, and it's good for education and research purposes too.
Brilliant. And I know one area we kind of touched upon, while we were having coffee is how this has really opened up a whole new way to fundraise as well within the art space, right? That's a very important area. It's quite tough to bring in, new blood into the art space. And so we're constantly looking for, innovative, novel ways. Maybe Listen, you can talk a little bit about that journey from that perspective so far and how you've kind of leveraged blockchain.
Yes. So at National Gallery Singapore, I think I would dare say maybe we're the first that use blockchain to actually fundraise. So how it works is actually we are actually custodian of over 9,000 artworks, Southeast Asian artworks in Singapore. And we managed to maybe shortlist a few of them to actually fractionize the artworks. So you can actually adopt the pieces from $50 onwards. So it's $50 all the way to $100 to 100,000, depending on your appetite. But per pop, per lot, it's $50. And how that works, it could be a one-time donation, it could be a quarterly, it could be an annual thing, but we want to journey with you. So as you contribute along the years, you will be able to actually rise in terms of your different tiers, from your bronze, your silver, your gold to your platinum. You'll be able to enjoy donor privileges, like, for example, one thing that its government is very good at helping us, it's you actually get tax deduction. We didn't talk about it during lunch, but in Singapore, tax deduction is actually 250%. A lot as compared to the US, which could be only just 100%. So there's always an incentive to give, and you can actually adopt different artworks, like collecting different badges. So it's something that you can collect under your belt. We started this in the year 2000, and it's been about 3 years now. We have amassed about almost more than 200,000 already. From $50 a pop. Some people give more money, which is a happy thing for me, but some, have started giving repeatedly on a monthly basis. So we do see the traction, and we do see that that not only just encourages, the everyday people to be able to join in giving to the arts, but also build an alumni of people that wanted to continue giving to the arts. So that's where we are we are doing today. So you can download a little plugin, the Gallery Explorer app, and you are able to adopt your artwork now.
Nice, nice. All I remembered for that is 250%. I'm gonna write that down.
Yes, 200%
Yes, well,
tax
that's what I
free.
heard.
Yes.
Okay. And I mean, going back to the basics, right? When all of this came about, like, we discussed, you've been obviously looking at this space for a long time. Why blockchain?
The simplistic answer is because blockchain is able to automate a lot of things for us. And it's also minimizing manpower and also keeping track of who the donors are. And this is going to be undisputed ledger. And this is something that you cannot transfer your rights to. You can't transfer the rights to your son or your grandson in the future. The name that you have tagged with the artwork will last for the life of the artwork. So that's something more like a legacy that you can do in your lifetime to make a difference. And the reason why it's blockchain as well, it's also easier for staff members to track when did the money come in, how is the tax deduction done, and everything. It's very clear and very transparent, and you actually know people who also adopted the same piece of artworks. And we do have networking sessions for you to meet the other donors as well. So it's also a networking session. So blockchain really makes it very transparent. I have nothing to hide. All donors know who's adopting the artwork, and sometimes encourages their friend to do it too. Yeah.
Brilliant. Zaf, you've obviously been on the side where you're kind of talking about the solution to, various museums and galleries. What are some of the reservations or challenges that you've seen for them to adopt blockchain?
I think a lot of museums associate blockchain with cryptocurrency or NFT hype. And I think it's not like a big hurdle, but you will have to get through the first barrier of, oh, this is not about cryptocurrency. And for leasing's case, like for donation, you don't have to buy the cryptocurrency to do anything like that. And for the IP licensing thing that we just mentioned, you don't even notice it's a blockchain technology behind it. Just as like when you talk about changing your web page, you don't really care is it JavaScript or is it something else? You don't really care about the technology, right? So we have to go through this education process with the museums. And I think this is like the biggest reservation. Just hearing the name of Web3 blockchain is like associating with hype or associating with something fluctuate a lot rather than the technology itself.
Yeah, that's very true. Sorry to all the crypto bros here. We're talking about legit blockchain, no floor prices. And Leeson, you've obviously been working on a lot of different experiments in the space. And one of the great examples was Adopt Now that we were talking about before. Could you talk a little bit to that?
Yeah, so Adopt Now, it's one of the blockchain initiatives for fundraising that we have done before, but I wanted to talk more about the NFT auction that we have done. Yeah, so in 2022, in January, we actually also held a mini fundraiser with an NFT platform, Nifty Gateway, to actually fundraise for the museum as well. And one of the reasons why we worked directly with Nifty Gateway, it's because one of the reasons it's the artworks that they have on their platform is very well curated. It's created by creators that really wanted to make a difference in terms of their art creation. And we've been through an entire different spectrum of NFT platforms that are selling art. And like Zef mentioned, of course, the toughest customer I have, it's actually my board members asking me, hey, NFT, is this cryptocurrency? How are you going to do this? Is MAS coming after us? Are you sure they can get tax deduction? What's the process like? And I see some of the smiling faces here. I'm sure all your board members ask you the same questions. And yes, again, it's about education and learning the space. And one of the key reasons why we ventured into NFT auction, it's also wanting to educate our donors that NFT doesn't really need to be cryptocurrency. It could be fiat as well. And the entire sale is actually conducted in US dollars. But you still get your NFT. So sorry, crypto bros there. Still, it's a slow journey, baby steps. But the most delighted and heartfelt thing that I felt was one of our board members, she is 85, and every single year she'll ask me, Li Xing, I have an NFT, right? It's Chinese New Year. I need to put it on the TV so that people know that I have an NFT. Can you come to my home and upload it for me? But the question that she will ask me next would be very shocking. What is my password? I'm like, Madam Chua, I don't have your password. I'm sure your PA has it. But we do see that, although she's quite senior in her years, she's also very intrigued by the fact that, she's able to collect and be able to empowered by it and know that the journey is actually very quick and very simple and able to support artists that way. So that's the different things I've been doing at the museum that's hopefully quite fun.
Yeah, I actually want to tap onto that. I think it's really amazing a museum, like a state-owned museum, can take such initiative like such early time. And I was talking about this whole Adopt Now and the initiative that Li Xing has been driving. And I didn't know that it was 2020 before when we talk about that during our coffee earlier. So I think it's really amazing talking about mass adoption, talking about like all the IP rights, ownership, and all that. I think like arts and culture area or industry is a place that no one actually focusing much right now, instead of like talking about fashion brands, music labels, and all that. But I think arts and culture can actually be a really good way, a good mean to touch upon community, because the community towards the art can be really loyal. I mean, compared to music nowadays with the streaming platform. I'm not going to go into all that, but you know what I'm talking about. Back in the days, the fans are more loyal to the artists. But I think for artists in the art space and the fans, the connection wasn't there that much, actually. If you don't have that much of money to buy the couple $1 million artwork, you can't really have the direct connection with the artist and or whatnot. But like having the community to drive together, what you mentioned earlier, you can see who the other donors are, and maybe you have community networking section to be able to drive all the art lover together. I think is a really good showcase of community building and like towards the common goal, not just about flipping an NFT. And this is amazing to someone coming from a Web3 background to hear that.
Those are some fantastic points. I mean, I think we've all seen our fair share of art, I would say, across the last 2 years. I would say some better than others in the form of NFTs. And hopefully we have better quality pieces now coming out. Zaf, maybe you'd like to talk about some of the initiatives that Artifact Labs are currently working on, in the cultural and art space.
Yeah, so we are building on the IP licensing thing. One thing I want to add on to that is we are building both on the demand side and supply side. Supply, of course, we're working with different museums like the NGS to put their heritage art pieces onto our platform, and then we drive the demand side as well. So we're talking to different partners, potential partners, like maybe the Samsung TV, so you can actually license the art to put into your own home and stuff like that. So we're trying to create use case to boost the use of museums artwork as well. So this is the something that we're building on top of the IP licensing thing. And we're working with some museum like Amplus in Hong Kong, trying to build the membership for the kids, and the interesting way to build a dynamic NFT, like something avatar to represent the kids' journey across the museum's activities. Maybe they can have a birthday party there. Like this kind of membership building is something more digestible for museums as well. And this is what we're focusing, building in the artwork.
Amazing. So we've got about a minute left, and I thought maybe it'd be nice to just open up a question to the floor. If anyone has any questions you'd like to ask, just raise your hand. Anyone? I can't see anyone in this direction, unfortunately. So, nope. Okay, well, maybe I'll throw one then. Could blockchain enable smoother collaborations as well between museums globally? Like, could we see, work come across from other places that, we'd be able to be involved with, say, for example, at a national gallery?
Yeah, for sure. Anything that requires lesser manpower, it always sounds like music to my ears. I'm a blockchain believer, and I really think that it's the way to go, and as well as helping not just established artists but budding artists to also help with their livelihood. I think through the pandemic, we also realized, I think this is a global issue about content creators losing jobs and not able to sustain their income. And one of the things that blockchain allows that to do is actually to have reoccurring income. Not a lot, but it could help. So I do see the benefits and definitely win-win on that. And I really hope that, more museums or more institutions can actually come on board and journey with all of us together to build a wider community where we can have more sharing of content, and that will make the world a easier way to educate people. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I think we could have a whole separate panel on creator fees and everything like that with what's been going on. Zaf, any parting insights that you'd like to share?
I think my final notes would be we want to create a place almost like a Getty image powered by blockchain, but with like invaluable assets from museums or artists' estate. And I think more than just making money and making more accessible for arts to general public. And this is our mission, what we want to build in Artifacts Lab.
Brilliant. Thank you both for sharing your time and experience with us. I think it's
you.
been invaluable.
Thank you.
Thank you all.